Every Saturday we ran to Denny Donuts and walked back.
The pain is just as fresh. 4.5 years later, Debbie Hickson and her son Corey take the stand to let jurors know Chris Hickson was a hero that unforgettable day. Today, those same jury members walk through the 1200 building to see the site of one of America's worst school shootings. Chris Hickson, the athletic director at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, was one of 17 killed on February 14, 2018.
In this 12th day of the sentencing trial, the jury walked through the hallways, the classrooms, and stairwells where the killer stalked students and teachers to carry out his carnage. A handful of journalists were selected at random to walk through the building as well. CBS 4's Joan Murray was one of them. Joan arrived at MSD the afternoon of the massacre 4 years ago in 2018. She's covered the story ever since. And Joan, we talked to you earlier, and you've been so professional as always, but what impacted you the most when you walked into that building today?
I think mainly it was seeing the bloodstains and the realization these were real people who died, children mainly, who died. And so when you see the bloodstains in the hallway, on the walls, bullet holes in the wall, that is when you realize the impact. And I can only imagine what it was like for the jury going through the building. We had much less time to spend on each of the 3 floors where this mass shooting took place over 4 years ago. The classrooms are just frozen in time, assignments on the desk, pages open, pens on the desk, magic markers. In the geography teacher's room who passed away, there was literally geography maps strewn about the floor, all signs of the chaos that ensued once the shooting began.
And Joan, we know that the members of the media went in after the jury, so you weren't able to see their reactions as they walked through the building. When you and the other journalists went in, did you have someone guiding you, explaining to you the things that you saw, and did the jury members have someone with them as well?
I know the jury was not allowed to ask questions, so I think it was, you know, very restricted. And the only sign we saw was going into the building, one of the female jurors put her arm around another female juror as a sign of support, comfort, because it can be quite moving to witness such as we saw today. So as we went around, there were several BSO deputies, and there were also members of the state attorney's office and the defense, and we were allowed to talk amongst ourselves. The journalists were, and also they were allowed to speak to us as well, and a member of the state attorney's office was able to say pinpoint. So if you were in a hallway and maybe saw something, she would be able to say that is the spot where a student, you know, was hit. Like on the 3rd floor, Anthony Borges, if you remember, he was shot 5 times but survived. And when law enforcement got to that floor after all the rampage, they actually tried to pull him out of the middle because he had issued a cry for help. So they tried to pull him so you could actually see without being too graphic, actually the blood, the smear of blood where they actually pulled him. Thankfully, Borges survived. Many did not. And again, so these people, they didn't guide us in so much as saying, here's what happened in this classroom and that classroom, but they were there at least to add some perspective and to, you know, pinpoint certain things so we would be accurate in our descriptions.
And Joan, you went floor by floor, but it sounds like the most gruesome details you saw were on the 3rd floor. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, the third floor. But I also want to talk about the 1st floor, a lot of carnage as well. The 3rd floor had nearly everyone died in the hallway or in the stairwell, so that was full of a lot of blood stains. But on the 1st floor, you know, many of the students were in classrooms who passed away. I just got off the phone, in fact, with a teacher in one of the classrooms on the 1st floor who was asking me about the shape of her classroom, and it's interesting because you realize when you're standing in these classrooms how narrow it was and how people were trying to duck for cover, and unfortunately some people did not make it. So on the first floor you had students in the hallway who passed away: Luke Hoyer, Martin Duque, and Gina Montalto. They were shot to death in the hallway. And then in the classrooms, the students who died were Helena Ramsey, Alyssa Alladeth, Elena Petty. One of my colleagues had noticed that Elena Petty's folder was still on her desk. Alex Schachter, his dad, gave very moving testimony about the loss of his son. Carmen Schentrup, and then also Chris Hickson, the athletic coach who tried to run in and help the students. He died in the hallway. He was shot twice. And then Aaron Feist, the football coach, was shot trying to get into the school. So he was shot in the portico on the west side of the first floor. Then let's move to the third floor, where just so many blood stains and so very disturbing and disconcerting. So on that floor we had geography teacher Scott Beagle, who was trying to help students, get holding the door to get back into his classroom, and unfortunately he was shot to death. Meadow Pollock and Kara Logren, those two were in the hallway. They were shot to death. Joaquin Oliver shot twice, and you could tell in the spot where he was that he was backed up against a wall with the bloodstains and the bullet holes in the wall. And then we had also on the third floor Peter Wang, who died a very miserable death, being shot more than a dozen times on the west wall, coming to take his final breath on the west wall. And then Jamie Guttenberg, who actually fell through the stairwell, shot on that third floor. And so often her dad has said, Fred Guttenberg has said that she only needed a few more seconds to escape to safety. So that's a picture of just, these were real people, students who had so much ahead of them, and the tremendous loss and the hole it has left in the hearts of so many. And you really could get a feel being in that building about all that was lost on that day.
Yeah.
Joan, I'm sure the building, just a tough reminder for the families as far as everything that happened there 4.5 years ago. Of course, now we wait to see what happens to that building that's been essentially preserved in time for all this time. Joan Murray, thank you again for all your reporting, taking care to respect the dignity of what happened there.